Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today I'm going to continue work on my 20,000 bricks under the sea cabinet, and I'm trying to get these mechanical sharks that are circling our divers into the main biscuit, as I'm calling it. So let's get started. Right, so this is what we have done so far for the biscuit. Our sort of textured sea bottom with some cross-sectional scenes, and I'm going to have the main rock face, as you know, all along this sort of corner here, rising up and taking our huge base that I dropped. I haven't yet dropped this thing. It is quite rigid, but it's quite unwieldy to get in and out of the cabinet, and where we kind of join it onto the next section, I kind of have to take out a slice each time just so I can kind of wiggle it out essentially. Eventually, when this is all built up, I'll put it in for the last time and do the last work with it in situ. So what else have we got to update on? Yeah, we had a bit of a poll on whether to include panels with this sort of fish type stickers on, and the view was largely to use them because we are Robin Hood bricks, so therefore we do want stickers throughout our builds. However, probably more in the background, so I'm probably going to swap that one out for a plain one, given it's so near forward. It's also got far too many on, even if it was used in the background. Right, so we've got our mechanical shark circling thing with diver 1 in mouth of shark 1 and diver 2 ready to be eaten. And that is going to go here. Basically, that burp there and that burp there are sort of the same one. I'm going to remove this dark tan one and get that in there. Then we're going to have the turny handle sticking out here, and I'm going to extend that so it's about here, so we can definitely still reach it even when it's in the cabinet, as long as the doors are open, of course. And then I'm just going to decorate this entire rock, and then we'll see if that's enough for what I've got time for today before I move on to the next thing. All right, well, that is the mechanism largely transferred. I've had to make a few amendments in the fact that I need to support this now within kind of all the rock structure that's going around it, and to have complementary coloured bricks like these greys here, so when it's finished you can't see any of these bright ones, and all the grey ones that are visible are the right colour. I've brought this a lot further out, as I said I always would, so I can get my fat fingers around it, even though there's going to be rocks all around here, so it's quite a complicated process to try and work out exactly where everything needs to be, but I think we're largely there now. So unfortunately the side of these Technic 1x2 bricks can't be decorated, so I've just actually used a bracket piece here just to put a few cheese wedges on the ends, just so I can kind of do something like that and have the bottom going away with an inverted slope, so it is easy to get my hands around. I can start building the rock face around it as well. Then it just leaves me to put on a washer sort of thing, and then our handle. Is it a coral? Is it a handle? And yeah, that works really well. It's a bit stiffer than it was before, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So I'll just pop the sharks on for now. Check it works before I bury this, because you've pretty much got to put everything on in order to get it to work. To get at the mechanism on the inside, you need to take out the burps, and to take out the burps, you've got to take off that and all of this, and well, it becomes an absolute nightmare. So yeah, I want to be sure that it works at every stage of this build, otherwise I'll have to go back to square one. Cool, right, so now I'm going to try and kind of build a rocky outcrop over all this mechanism and into the burps that are kind of located here. That's not too near, is it? No, just get my finger around there. So yeah, looking good. Keep going. Well, this is starting to look more like a rock face and less like a mechanism now. It's very fine tolerances actually, just to build in all of these slopes, for example. You have to make sure that this is exactly at the right height. Too high and this won't turn it, too low and it'll hit all of these rocks on the underside of these arms. So I think I've got it absolutely perfectly fine-tuned there, where we are getting the turn and we aren't getting any clashes, he says. There we go, yeah. So that is fine. Now we can just see the very last bit of the wheel or the gear in there that we can now cover over for good. Start filling in all of these gaps with lovely rock pieces, including ones that we got on the most recent brick haul. So yeah, already coming into good use. Right, now you can't see anything of the mechanism apart from this handle, which I've deliberately put a red Technic gear on to make it look perhaps more lifelike. Maybe that's the fleshy bit, I don't know. Then one of these nice wedge plates with all the rock texture on, I'm going to use to cover up the rest of it like that. And these rocks are going to be covered in life as well. I'm going to do all the rock face bit first and then add the life afterwards. It's not going to be the crazy corals that we're going to get on the lower level, but it is going to be, you know, crabs and lobsters and all sorts going about its daily business. So I think that'll be really good. Cool. Yes, enclosed. Very good. I've started to bridge the gap between these two burps because I wanted them to be slightly more interesting. So I just put one 2 plate height above the other, which means I've got to plug in all these gaps, but that's starting to look good. I figure I'm going to have a shoal of fish on the front of this to make it nice and interesting. Now we've not got the stickers on there. Yeah, I'll keep going. But yeah, lots of lovely different subtle shades with old grey, new dark grey, old dark grey, all of them, including this green mottled, dark green, sand green. Yep, keep going. All right, rock surface is done, I reckon, or at least nearly done. I just want to add one more piece. I found this rock skull piece when I was going through all of the other things that I'm building with, and I thought it'd be good to incorporate. I know we're going to have the really big skull on kind of a rock that's over there because I've flipped everything around. I might have disorientated you. We're at the back now, by the way. But I thought I'd add another small one as well, just because it's a really dodgy area. There's a real Bermuda Triangle with loads of wrecks and so on. And I'm just going to put that into these Technic brick here. There we go. And there's another little subtle detail that you might notice. I'll probably do a scene here. I don't know exactly what yet. Maybe another skeleton or something like that. It's kind of a little inlet that, you know, is almost begging for something. You won't see it a great deal because, well, you'll be viewing from that angle and you have to see over this rock. But, you know, it's still worth including so you can kind of peer around at different angles and see different things. Right, sea life next. All right, just to orientate you, we're now at the front again, looking the way we'll look into the cabinet. That skull piece is there, just to remind you. So I was talking about adding a scene in here, behind here. Right, so some sea life then. I've deliberately left loads of flat surfaces for things to be attached to and loads of modified bricks so we can have some seaweeds and so on. And I've added loads of clips around here just so I can add a shoal of fish, because that, I think, really, really brings a place to life. On the outside of my underwater lab, there's some bluefish. This time I think I'm going to use these silver ones, just kind of swimming in, well, rough formation, as you'd expect on all of these clips. And I'm going to make them swim through a big amount of weed as well, sort of seaweed for protection. I'm going to add one of these normal tree limb pieces, kind of skewer it into one of those modified bricks with one of these grabbers, and then I can not only add another fish down here and so on, but I can also use the rest of these holes that are now horizontal to attach loads and loads of lime tentacles to, or seaweed to, all going up, and it'll totally sort of shield them. So we'll have some fish in the plant, some fish swimming in front of it or above it or behind it, and I think that'll look really good. And the silverness of the fish should really sort of reflect the light when we've got the cabinet lights on. So that's what I'm going to do next, do all of these weeds and fish, and then I'm going to add a big giant clam with a pearl inside. Now that looks worth having, doesn't it? I'm going to add crab and lobster and even a puffer fish who's going about his daily business. Though why he's puffed up, he must be quite scared. Well, as boring as rock work is, especially when you've got to bury a precise mechanism within it, adding all the life afterwards is much more fun. So there is my tree limb piece on its side with all of those seaweed pieces hanging off it with the fish going in between. And it's quite subtle from some angles just because of the silvery fish on the grey backdrop, but I think the lights will really pick them out If not, I can always swap them for orange fish or the light blue ones or the, what is it, spring green ones as well. Yes, we've got one sort of needing to catch up and one going a bit too high for protection. He'll probably get picked off by the sharks. But I think that looks really good. And I've been adding some pink kind of friends bracelet pieces all over the place for little bugs. I've added these ones as well in the aqua colour for little sort of lichen growths. I've got one of the clamshells stuck on the back there, looking very nice indeed. I've got the big old clamshell with the pearl in it on the back there, and I can add loads more as well. So I thought I'd have a lobster, which aren't usually this bright red when they haven't been cooked. It's pretty much a cooked lobster, really, isn't it? But anyway, I made this little arch hole here to represent a little den, and he's a bit big for it, but then maybe he sort of folds himself into it. So maybe he's just sitting outside that, and if something comes along, he can kind of shrink back into it. I reckon that'll be good. I thought I'd have a nice bright crab right on the top there, just to really liven it up. And you can see why I'm starting to enjoy this part of the build, because wow, it's just really good fun, all these bright colours. And then for the next bit of rock, all of these modified bricks, I'm going to add the normal green rather than the lime green tentacle pieces going upwards. I did them all actually hanging down, like they were sort of very heavy around all the lab, and it was pointed out to me that these would probably be very light and sort of waving in the current. So maybe they're two different types, because those ones were dark green. So these are definitely going to be light and waving in the breeze, because the thing is, I designed that one so it'd be sort of high up and hanging down, and this one I've designed it so they're low down and waving up. So yeah, I guess it's which way you want to do it. And then that pufferfish, he's excellent, isn't he? I thought I'd have him out in the open just because he's so lovely. And I've got two clear bricks here, so I can just have him kind of swimming around, or maybe up here at the front. And he looks great, doesn't he? So even more colour. So I'm going to keep going until this thing is kind of coated, and then we can put the top back on, and ooh, we'll be done. Ho, 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 look at that. It's back. It's working. We've got the diver number 2 in the mouth again. It always falls out whenever you move the sharks. But yeah, looking really good. A very interesting and busy rock face with loads and loads of different colour on it and fish and all the rest of it to make it look really, really nice. And I don't think you'd know now that it's basically 2 of the larger burnt pieces back to back under here, and 2 of the more pointy ones here back to back as well. It's very well camouflaged. We've got loads of space around here for all sorts of other scenes and so on. Obviously our base is going to be right over there. But yeah, that's looking good. A little hermit crab under there. And yeah, I've added all sorts of different things that I haven't shown you. So I've added a jellyfish there, just made out of a chef's hat in this trans pink with a purple sort of bottom underneath. And I just perch him on one of my seaweed pieces. Added sort of sponges, I suppose they'd be, made out of different coloured pieces there. And even a bamboo bit over there. So yeah, looking good. I'm liking this very much. So I think when this is in a cabinet, all of this will look like one rock, kind of isolated from the rest of them by this sand, but it won't look like this guy is standing on something that's completely detached from the main body, and that's what I wanted. So it looked like the sharks were doing their motion kind of by magic. Obviously you can't see the very invisible Technic lift arms at all, so yeah, it's a complete illusion how it works. Anyway, I think that's really good fun. So I think that is all we've got time for today. We've got quite a lot done, maybe not in sort of volume, but definitely in detail. But I do want to go over one more thing that I've been playing with this week in little bits of spare time, and that is experimenting further with the lighting in my cabinet. So as you may know, I've got 6 of these bulbs on the inside. We've got normal lighting sort of vertically in the top of the cabinet, 6 of these on kind of little movable arms. And then I've put in a track of UV lighting for the very bottom. And these had an interesting feature where it could cycle through all of the sort of red, blue and green light sequence, but the problem being that the red bit wasn't very good because it basically made everything pink or red. Yeah, it didn't look that good. And somebody commented on the channel that basically if I'd done it, all of it with LED tracking, then they have 3 separate sets of lights effectively, one red, one blue, one green, and you can cut deliberately the red one just to leave you with the other 2, and they're the 2 that you'd want cycling through. So when you put it on that automatic cycling feature, it doesn't go through the red and just does the colours you like, but then you get that motion from all of the light changing in the cabinet, and that's kind of what I want. Well, can I dig into one of these and open it somehow? It's not like it's got screws on it, so I don't think I can. So the only other way I could think was putting a filter in front of it, so each pair would, well, just shine the light that I wanted. So what I thought was I could buy a sort of round piece of plastic that was blue or something like that that would filter out the red light and see how that worked. But what I did have to hand was 4 of these, and I didn't really have any use for them. I kind of got them when I got the bigger ones for the sort of turrets or whatever we're going to use them for in the cabinet. And these are 6x6, and well, they're exactly the right size. So I thought I'd just hold them there to see how it worked in the cabinet. And it worked really well in cutting out absolutely all of the red light. So I thought, well, maybe I could glue these to the lights. Now, these things are usually attached to other bricks with the bottom part of a hinge piece on there. And I thought, well, if I just glued the bottom part of the hinge onto the edge of this, then effectively I could fit this on and it would work as one of those filters. But then also I could remove it if ever I needed to, and I'd just have this piece stuck on here. And if the bulb went, you know, in hundreds of hours of time, thousands and thousands of hours, it being LEDs, then basically, yeah, I'd throw out that piece with the bulb, but essentially I'd only have to replace a 5p piece in order to do it again. So I thought I'd experiment with 1 pair of these because I've got 4. I'm going to need 6 ultimately if it works. So that's what I've done. I've glued, not incredibly centrally, I must say. I could probably do a better job when I do the next pair. A pair of these on, so you can kind of hinge them open like sunroofs if you wanted to. But yeah, I'm going to try that in the cabinet and see how that works on cycle for cutting out the red. So yeah, maybe we'll try that. Okay, well, it's getting harder and harder to get the biscuit in and out of the cabinet, but it does look very good. I've got a kind of removable slide up bit here, and then I lift up that big shark head, and then basically I can take everything that side. But yeah, here is our thing in position, and it's a bit shadowed because I've set the lighting up to demonstrate the bulb amendments that I've made. But yeah, it's looking really good around there, isn't it? Yeah, very nice indeed. You can see it from above, looking nice. Yeah, so what I've got here is the 2 filtered bulbs on this side, and they are cycling through all the blues and greens. So if we kind of look at that, see it going blue to green to kind of a mixture between the 2, and it's kind of pulsing a bit, as you'd expect, with it strobing through all those different colours. And it's really nice how the wreck just kind of pops out and then gets a bit deeper and moodier. Yeah, and I think that's a really good effect. So I'm very happy with how that's working without the pink, because on the other side I've got the 2 unchanged bulbs, and you can see right now, I mean, that's just crazy, isn't it? I mean, that's disco pink and then red. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that to the other 2 and buy 2 more pieces to do the other 2 that are on the level below. Anyway, we can focus on what we've done today and see those fish at the front and the little puffer fish and all the sharks and so on. And I think it's looking really good. Yes. Tell me what you think. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, I think we'll be doing more work in the fairground. Don't know how much time I've got this weekend, that's the sad thing. Then a haul on Wednesday, and then hopefully back in this cabinet next week, because I'm really enjoying this and I want to get that whole rock face done. and the base that's completely smashed into pieces back on it, filling this entire space here. And let's see if this diver is in time to save his buddy being attacked by the sharks. Anyway, yeah, until all of that, see you!